Hey traders, welcome back to the FXE YouTube channel. Hope everyone is good today. Today I feel wonderful. I slept 8 hours last night, which is very rare for me. Woke up feeling completely refreshed. Price delivered unexpectedly yesterday, but let's have a look at what happened and understand what it did and think about what could happen next. But first, let's talk about the fundamentals. Regarding the news, we have a huge news day today. This day we've been waiting for a long time now. The ECB interest rate decision comes out today. So we start off with some JPY news. We have BOJ outlook report and also interest rate decisions in Japan. And then at 15 minutes after New York Open, we have the ECB interest rate decision. We also have unemployment claims in the US 30 minutes after New York Open. And then 45 minutes after New York Open, we have a ECB press conference. And then, although it's not mentioned here, followed by that, an hour and 15 minutes after New York Open, we have Lagarde speaking. So someone asked me in chat if I thought the interest rates were priced in or not. For me, I'm not sure to what extent it is. We had a rally around the time it was first announced about the interest rates increase in May. But then after that, we fell 800 pips since then. So do I think the true effect is priced in or not? Not really. But what happens when the announcement is made? To be honest, I don't know. Are we instantly going to see the price start mooning? I'm not so sure. To be honest, I have no idea. The more I started to think about it, the more I started to think that we may see manipulation when the interest rate is announced. It's similar to any big news event. We tend to see the price move in the opposite direction, liquidating or sweeping all the liquidity before it starts to move in the intended direction. So I don't know, we could see the price, come down like crazy for an hour or two, or maybe even more. And then the true effect of the interest rate decision may come hour later or maybe even days later. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a normal news event where we have huge manipulation for like an hour, it moves in the opposite direction, and then after it just goes like crazy in the intended direction. Okay, anyways, that's it for the fundamentals. Gonna do something a little different today. Just gonna do a quick trade review. So you guys know my bias was long. Bullish yesterday. I ended up taking 5 trades. 3 were break even, and those were all longs. And then I had 2 winners, no losses. So first one came right at Asia Open. Price pulled back, testing demand. We had a small lower time frame confirmation, and then took the price to the upside, but I didn't take profits because my expectation was to go to the top of the range. So this trade ended up breaking even, and then I re-entered after this one went break even. Had a lower time frame confirmation, entered on the pullback, and once again price didn't go to the areas I was expecting, and then it came back down, stopped me out break even. So for this trade, it was kind of expected, because when I was looking at the markets, I was expecting to see some sweep of internal liquidity. Sorry, that wasn't a sweep, that was liquidity. So once I saw this liquidity sweep, we started to consolidate a little, had one last liquidating move to the downside. Then we had a lower time frame confirmation. I entered on the pullback, and this one pushed up quite aggressively. It had a pullback here. I entered a scale in, a low risk scale in here. And then on the next drive up, I started to take profits on the first trade, but left the second trade running. Ultimately, we swept the highs, aggressively came back down with a V-shaped recovery, broke the bottom, created a chalk. And at this time, well, immediately I didn't know what to think, but when it started pulling up correctively, I saw the price come into a lower time frame supply, and this is actually a really nice supply. If you go on the minutes chart, you can see there was a 1 minute doji candle creating that supply, tapped into it once, twice, liquidating with the third drive up, and then after the lower time frame confirmation here on the pullback, that's when I entered. Price pushed down very nicely shortly after I entered the trade. We had a reaction off demand after breaking the lows, a small pullback, back into supply right for the last impulse down, and then after that, huge expansion to the downside. So this was actually a massive trade for me. So even though I was biased to the upside, I did end up with a nice winner, trading against my bias after I saw price developing the opposite way. So when price came down, I took profits towards the bottom, and then we had a pullback. I started to get really worried that it may reverse. So the next drive down, I just closed the entire trade around the same level. Ultimately, we had another pullback and then another drive down, but it didn't really matter because I was out of the trade. But if I did hold it, it would have been safe, and I could have ended up with even more profits. But I'm not going to complain, considering I was trading against my bias and ended up with a really nice trade. Yesterday was a really good day. So if we go to the analysis, let's start with DXY. So what has DXY shown us? Okay, so on DXY, so yesterday my expectation was pullback and then further drive to the downside, but instead this demand held. Not sure I have that there because we didn't sweep anything. But we did pull back, had a nice push to the downside, and this was at London. And then after that, price showed some really big signs of strength, had a pullback into demand, one more drive up, another pullback into the demand, and then another leg up. So as of right now, we're consolidating in the current range that we're in right now. If you go to the 15 minute, so here's our sign of weakness, correctively pushing down during Asia. We had that impulse to the upside into supply, and then the next drive down Okay, I see it now. So you couldn't see it on the 4-hour, but on the 15-minute you can. We did sweep the lows. So we did sweep the lows on the 15-minute. So we had that really nice drive down, sweeping the lows, pushing right back up with the V-shaped recovery, pulling back into demand, and then next leg up, and then little consolidation before next pullback into demand once again, and then the next leg up. So currently we're consolidating in this range here, and now we've come back and tightened into a smaller range here. My bias right now, my bias is as we're consolidating in this tight range, I'd like to see a sweep of these lows. So I've marked on my chart. We have our sell side liquidity down here. I'd like to see a sweep of the lows, and then drive to the upside. So for now, my bias is bullish, expecting to see higher prices on DXY, but this is only short term, because once we get into the New York session, I mean, anything can happen. There's so much uncertainty with the ECB interest rate decision. Like I said, we may see manipulation, the price drive in the opposite direction. I don't know, maybe even 100 or plus pips, and then after that, eventually reversing and going into the intended direction, which is to the downside. If we go to EU, so starting with the 4-hour. So on the 4-hour, as of right now, I mean, structure is still holding, it's still bullish. We had our consolidation in the supply area. I was expecting another drive to the upside, but instead what happened during London, we had a nice push to the upside, sweeping the highs, supply held, so the top of supply is here, supply held, immediately pushing right back down, breaking the lows, so sweep and a chalk in a single candle, and then after that we had a really nice pullback into supply, and then one more drive down, one more pullback, and then another drive down. If we go to the 15-minute, so again during Asia we had a corrective push to the upside. Let me remove my trades so they don't get in the way. So corrective push to the upside, one last push down at Frankfurt Open, sweeping the internal liquidity, coming down into demand, and then a nice drive up, sweeping the highs, and then immediately after that push down, breaking the lows, creating a chalk, pull back into that 1-minute supply that I showed you when I did my trade review, and then right after that just dumping to the downside. So this was a very, very nice trade for those that were able to get into shorts. So I was out of that short here, and after we had one more pullback into supply, then one more leg to the downside, pulling back now, but as you can see, we're currently consolidating in this range. Just looking at what happened, because we had this huge push to the upside an hour after the daily candle, and now we're pulling back now, I guess, which kind of makes sense. So anyways, my bias as of right now, it's currently bearish. So I'm expecting price to go deeper into demand. To what level, I'm not so sure. This one right here is the obvious choice. But I could also see that as the first level of demand to go. I think the biggest concern for me is the uncertainty with the euro interest rates, because ultimately that should push EU to the upside. But like I said before, I wouldn't be surprised to see massive manipulation following the interest rate decision that drives price massively to the downside before pushing the price up like crazy to the upside. As for trading ideas, I'll mainly be looking for shorts. Nothing really so clear for now. We could say if the price came back into this range, this could be a good area to look for entries for shorts. Do we see anything on lower time frames? Yes, we have a 5 minute. Zone here, but if you look at within this zone, there's that one doji candle in between, so this could be the most likely area for price to come to. And if we look, we've actually nearly tapped into it already. So depending on where price is at Japan Open, if we get a nice pullback into supply, I may look for shorts at that time. Just see anything on the 1 minute. Yeah, so 1 minute is actually a little clear. Potentially we can just bring it down a little lower to this range to look for a price to come to before taking shorts. And yes, I understand. I mean, the interest rates should give strength to euro, but like I said, I have no idea how that decision will impact the markets when it's announced. I've already said a few times now, I'm expecting manipulation. So if I am in a short in Asia, I'll probably take profits before New York if it continues to the downside, but probably hold it during the decision announcement, just to see if we do get that manipulation and it continues further to the downside. But honestly, I'm not so sure that I'll be looking for trades during New York session today. I may just wait to see what happens during that announcement, see how the market settles for the rest of today, and then come back tomorrow and analyze what had happened and try to think about trade ideas then. I mean, if we continue to the downside throughout New York without any push to the upside, then there's going to be even more uncertainty for tomorrow. But at one point, if we do reverse and massively push to the upside, then our ideas will be much clearer on how to trade for tomorrow. Well, sorry, my voice is going. Well, that's it for me. I hope you guys found this analysis useful. For those interested, I'm thinking of doing a live stream for the ECB rate decision later on. Depending on the interest within the Black Swan team, I may do one within one of our private pits. But if I don't get much interest in the Black Swan team, then I may just do one in the public pit. So for those of you in Discord, I'll make an announcement at that time if I do the public pit, and you can actually join the live stream with me. And the starting time for that live stream, if it happens, will be right around New York Open, and continue on for about an hour, covering both the interest rate decision as well as the start of the press conference. But I may even continue a little longer, maybe for another 30 minutes after that, to also cover for the Lagarde speech, because that could also impact the price quite significantly after the interest rate decision. But anyways, I'd like to hear your thoughts about the price action today. Let me know by leaving a comment below. Don't be shy, guys. And if you found value in this video, please be sure to click the like button and subscribe to ensure you don't miss any videos in the future. And I'll see you guys later if I end up doing the live stream. And good luck trading today. Peace.